Hey, dude, I got you water.
Very much.
How's it going, man?
Good. I was been waiting for this.
Yeah? I missed coming to the games.
You kidding? Look how long I've been going. 2002,
Those are vintage.
2010. I mean, I've been saving these. I better have some for next year.
The only one I got is from the last game of the season this year on
Uh,
March 11th.
yeah,
Sad day, man. So how you
that
been?
was said. That's right. Did you get any good take-home gifts that day?
Yeah, I got, of course, Harry with me. Harry the
Okay.
Hawk always comes with me. I got, good basketball for Dari, basketball for Mason.
Nice.
For
All right. It's good you have your.
Elizabeth, I got her this huge flag.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, I think I could top that. I don't want to open it inside and get bad luck, but look at this. An Atlanta Hawks umbrella.
That's perfect, dude.
Maybe. All righty. Let's get to business.
Well, cheers, dude. Good to see you again at the game.
Yeah, fun. Good to be here, man. It's Hey, look, the good news is the Hawks aren't losing this game tonight.
Oh, we're definitely coming home undefeated tonight. So what the hell happened, dude?
So it's cool that we're here at a basketball court setting because that's when it hit home for us, right? We're sitting at a game and all of a sudden the Utah game is canceled because one of the players tests positive. All of a sudden, third quarter, they say someone else has tested positive, NBA season canceled. Now, we could talk about sports as a metaphor, but, when you cancel the NBA season, that's big. And you don't want to minimize this virus by saying it's, how it affects sports. It affects all of us. But when it affects an industry like that, that's when it hit home for me that this isn't just be safe, be careful, cough into your arm. This was something more is going on. Somebody that's in power knows this is dangerous or they wouldn't close the NBA season from 0 to 100 like that. That was just incredible.
It's everything, not only like you said around the world, but it's every sport, MLB, NFL, it's just, it caught everybody by surprise. And I mean, it's been 2.5 months,
Yep. But, for you and me, things don't change. People don't stop needing lawyers. Lawyers don't stop needing business. People still get divorced. They still have marital issues. They still have personal injury issues. So, this was not let's just stop and we'll decide when we go back to work. This is how do we continue? And,
how do we
we're going to get,
yeah.
And, you're the perfect person. I'm glad that we have such a good friendship because, the stuff that I've been doing in my office and the stuff that you've been doing and teaching people is how to do exactly what we're doing anyway, right? We're basically learning how do you work more efficiently? How do you work remotely? How do you get beyond the day-to-day, got to go into my office, spend money on rent? And so I think we were sort of ahead of a lot of folks, but it hit us all like a ton of bricks.
It hit us. I was really surprised. I think it really separate people, into, I was kind of prepared, into I was completely not prepared. And it really just created a gap between the one.
I agree, but I would think the gap is more of not that I'm not prepared and I am prepared, which is a clear gap, but as you've seen, the people who are willing to accept the challenge and those who are saying, I give up. And, look, this happens, older lawyers that turn 60, 70, they might say, oh, there's a new code or a new statute or a new family court. I don't want to learn the new way. This is a good time to get out of the practice. And I'm sure there are some lawyers that said, I don't want to learn how to Zoom. I don't want to learn how to do that stuff. But the vast majority of lawyers, I think, are open to it. And it's like we say, necessity is the mother of invention. Either you're open to it or you better be open to it because you're going to not make money and your customers expect you to be open. Our customers are getting younger and younger. And what's the big deal? Get on the phone call, get on a Zoom call. If they can do it, why can't us lawyers who they're paying all this money do it?
Well, especially in family law. I imagine with everyone staying home, you're probably getting a lot of phone calls, people who are thinking about divorce are like, yeah.
It is. Well, we're getting a lot of them, it used to be, well, I came home and I got home at 9 o'clock at night and I was gone by 6 in the morning. So it wasn't so bad. Now they're face to face, whether it can work or not. But also obviously we become friendly with our clients. They share their deepest, darkest secrets with us. And that's a relief to a lot of people. And I find myself talking to people a lot more about the cause of the divorce. And I always joke with my wife when they say, why do most people get divorced? And I say, generally, it's not my job to figure out exactly why they want it. If they come to me and they want it, my job is to figure out how to get them through it. I'm not their therapist. But now I think people stay on the phone with us longer. They stay on Zoom with us longer. And I was reading an article my wife sent me from the Wall Street Journal about Zoom fatigue. And, it's hard. It sounds easy. You're on the phone looking at somebody, but what if their reaction isn't right when they, say it? What if I laugh at your joke, but you see me laugh and don't hear me laugh for a couple seconds later? At the end of the day, your mind has done a lot to try to put it all together, and it's just tiring on everybody.
Yeah, no, there's been a lot of people, if you had symptoms of anxiety, symptoms of depression, I mean, I can't imagine how exponentially worse they must feel. And, having not really being able to cope in a way that you're used to coping, going out with friends or, going shopping or whatever. So it's been an amazing experience, and
Yeah.
I've learned a lot.
Hey, Alvaro, the ball's about to hit you in the back of the head. Be careful. Whew.
Thanks.
I know that's when you. By the way, for everyone watching, that's Alvaro's favorite thing is when the ball comes over, he grabs it, and him and the referee fight about when he's going to give it back. So.
And when not to touch the players. I've been warned a couple of times. So what a lot of people don't know is that Randy and I have been friends, I don't know, 20 years or so. And when we started going to games, he's been going longer than I have, but when we started going to games, we'd be sitting there, we'd be talking shop, and we'd be talking about what we see happening, what are some things that I'm seeing with my clients, what are kind of the next things that are evolving. And we've kind of grown together through this. And so we thought it'd be
You bet.
great to just kind of get back to where we feel at home and just
Yep.
talk shop, talk about, what's happened with your practice, be honest, like, what do you think
No question.
for you guys, what do you think the biggest surprise or hit or?
Well, I'm surprised in 100 different ways. Number one, I'm surprised that we're still as busy as we are. I was sure that people were going to be afraid to call a lawyer. Maybe we've got a nice little boutique family law practice, and most of our clients can easily afford our services, and some can't easily afford them. But for the one that money is really not the biggest object, it's a good use of their money to figure out how can I make sure that I'm okay when this all ends, and make sure that with whatever we have when it's all over and done with is enough to get us both through. So that was sort of surprising. I'm also surprised at how quickly everyone's adapted. And I don't mean just lawyers, young lawyers, but judges. I mean, staff, judges. I mean, judges, they got to move their calendar and they get graded on how many cases they move. They don't want to come back in July or August and have 500 cases cramming into their courtroom. So they're really adapting, and they're actually forcing some lawyers to get off their butt and go do a Zoom call or an audio conference call. And that's sort of been surprising to me how quickly they adapted. And the thing that brings me hope is even though there are glitches and you freeze for a minute, that's going to improve. Technology is getting there. I mean, you're too young, but when I was a kid, downloading a movie, what are you talking about? You download it off the shelf? That's what you down. You get on a ladder and you download it.
Blockbuster shelf.
Yeah. With the internet, downloading a picture, you used to watch it pixelated, and it took 30 seconds to get a picture. So if you can download movies in 3 minutes, the real-time interaction is going to be there. And I think when we go back to full-time in the office, clients are going to say, why do I have to come? I'm used to Zoom. Judges are going to say, why do you have to come? I'm going to say, Judge, I've got I used to be able to have what we call a conflict letter.
Yeah.
Judge, I can't be in Gwinnett County at 9 and in Fulton County at 10, at 11.
Yeah.
Why, Mr. Kessler?
Awesome.
Well, because of traffic.
Yeah.
Well, I did it last week. I had a case in Fulton at 10 and in 11 that was in another court because it's just turning a button on and turning a button off, and you're across the state. It's incredible.
How have the staff reacted for you?
Well, I think at first, like most staff, there are two sides of it. One is everyone's terrified and scared that, let's hope that everything sticks together, but they don't really know the finances, and we reassured them that we were going to be okay. So there's that, and they all stepped up and said, what else can I do to make sure that the firm runs, the clients are satisfied, and that they're valuable? They want to make sure we have people, doing things they didn't do. I'll be glad to go to the office and meet the client who's bringing a check by. That's a receptionist job. We have lawyers doing that. The flip side is, I think they enjoyed it. I think the fact is it's forced time at home, and we've reinforced that. If you're not working at noon, take an hour and walk around the neighborhood. You can work at 7 at night if you want, instead of at 3 in the afternoon. So I think people are adapting. I just think it's a social thing. People have to be somewhere where they see they're really going to work, and we're lucky enough, Alvaro, to have, our offices are too big. We spend too much money on them. But now at least there's social distancing. So you want to get out of your house, Miss Paralegal, Mr. Lawyer, Well, you can come to the office and have some good social distancing there that you can't have in your neighborhood if you live in a townhome or a small community. There's actually more space and more uh, relaxing environment at work, maybe.
Yeah. So, I mean, as a law firm consultant, we help all over the country, every practice area. I think the biggest thing that my clients were surprised about was how efficient they actually can be, kind of like what you said about not needing conflict letters potentially.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, they were really surprised at how much their team supported them through it. And then, of course, you've got a batch of people who are just surprised because they weren't financially responsible and
Yep.
they didn't see this coming. And so I think a lot of my clients are just surprised at how well they found out their firm is doing, how
What,
efficient they possibly
well, I know it's an old saying, and you didn't invent it, but it takes money to make money. Why do you spend money on a law firm coach? I'm having a hard enough time bringing in money. Well, spending more money on well, think about it. If you don't spend money on technology, if you don't give your staff the ability to log in remotely by a good computer or a laptop, they can't bill the hours for you.
Yeah.
And guess what? Your competitors have it. And when the client comes to me and says, I like your competitor, Mr. Kessler, because they don't charge me to drive down to the courthouse and walk into court. They just charge me at 9 o'clock when the hearing starts and turn it off at 9:30. You got to be ready to adapt. And sometimes it takes some money. So you put a little money into the technology. You make sure you have your ring light and your tripod and everything ready to go, so you look professional, right, for the court.
agree. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's huge. I mean, I think a lot of people are just coming out of this thinking, yeah, we're ready. We can handle this. I think a lot of people, unfortunately, lost their market share. The clients they could have gotten because they were scared. But I mean, personally, you said why hire a law firm coach, but we're actually busier.
I'm sure.
Our
I'm sure. You better be.
clients I haven't heard from in a couple of years since we did the last project. Hey, I need an hour of your time. I need to know what to do. Should I keep people? What should I do with marketing? How do I, take advantage of this situation? So again, I think people are realizing this was a time to be reflective. I mean, that was the one lesson that I learned was, hey, got to reflect, got to analyze and adjust. And I think it
Well,
for a lot of people too.
I'm not surprised. You say we go to the games and we talk shop just because it comes out. But that's probably the person. We don't intentionally do those kind of things. We put out fires. We get a client who calls. We got to do what they want us to do, and we do it. And we don't say, "Wait a minute, I need this hour to think about my business or to think about, am I going to invest in a new computer system?" You wait till it crashes, it's too late. You wait for a pandemic, it's too late. So, now people are calling you saying, "What should I have done?" And unfortunately for them, it's probably more expensive because they've got to hurry up, and all the great computers are on wait list. Your time is probably more in demand. My time's more in demand. So it's a lesson for when this all passes. Don't wait until something bad happens to figure out your next 3 years. Think
Absolutely.
about the next 3 years now, and you'll be ahead of the curve.
Most of my phone calls were, hey, I've been thinking about doing this. I've got the downtime. Now's the time to do it. And so they're seeing the value in it. They're seeing the value of having remote workers be more efficient. They're seeing the value of they can run the practice for a lot cheaper, so.
See, I'm a curmudgeon. I'm old school, but it's the same story, which is, lawyers come out of law school, we go to work in our cubicle, and we just think the business is going to come in, and we just grind away and do the work. Well, if you don't step back from doing that and figure out how do you make sure the business comes in, how do you make sure the firm runs, how do you make sure all the work can get done, how do you make sure your staff is competent, in a good mood, well paid, whatever it is. If you don't step back and spend some time doing those things you don't get paid for doing those immediately. You don't spend an hour working on your payroll issues and get paid for that. But if you fix those ahead of time, then your staff is happier. They stay a long time. So, people using and talking to someone like you, invaluable.
So what'd you figure out? How did you pivot marketing wise? Because I think marketing, everyone knows you. You're on the news, the players, the NFL Players Association, the NBA players. I go to Tampa and I have a high school friend say, hey, you know that Desperate Housewife guy? You know, you
Well,
know,
speaking of Tampa, it's going to be Drew Brees against Tom Brady, and we got a bet to make on that one, baby, buddy.
absolutely. You got it. You got it. You know, what was the biggest lesson you learned marketing wise, since you weren't able to go to conferences, you weren't able to travel, or you
Well,
know,
first thing I learned is health and safety is more important than any marketing or anything whatsoever. You know, so there were some seminars, and before this, really, we knew what it was going to be. I was supposed to speak in West Virginia to the West Virginia Family Law Bar and to another bar, and I said I'm not going. And I knew that was a loss of possible marketing aspect and returns. So number one, marketing is irrelevant when it comes to health and safety. I mean, so let's get that off the table. It's not a balance of, do you take some risk? I don't want to take risks, but you know, no reason to take a risk just to make some money.
yeah,
But then when I knew that I was not going to be at seminars speaking and at these public events or places where I usually meet people, Hawks games where, you know, we run into people who say, hey, you're that divorce lawyer. So it's online, right? Everything's social media. But so is everybody else. These seminars are now being done online. Next week, we've got one for the uh, ABA is doing a webinar on how do you do Zoom trials. We've got some judges. Same kind of thing. I've been probably more on social media. I've looked at it a little more. I used to be sort of the opposite of a lurker. Some people lurk, they don't post, they just read.
yeah,
I'm the opposite. A lot of times I post and I don't read because I, you know, unless it's something I'm really, really interested in. But I've learned that social media helps, but you got to be visible. You got to be out there. And you know what, if it doesn't get you business, my marketing, as you know, wasn't an intentional kind of let's go out there and tell everybody how great we are. My marketing sort of evolved from I like the bar groups. I like the Atlanta bar, the Georgia bar, the family law section of the American bar. And I ended up chairing all of those because I liked being around lawyers and learning, but it gave me visibility. And I realized that people would say, I remember meeting you at a seminar in San Diego and I'm from Orlando, but my client moved to Georgia. They need a Georgia lawyer.
yep.
So I realized, you know, staying connected with the people that will send you business is important. It's just now you got to do it socially. And you know, you and all the people that you represent, you tell them, stay in touch with them, connect with them on the various medias. And
Yeah. I
that's what
mean,
we've been doing. We've just done more of it.
I've been saying, you know, get on social media even before this happened, and now
Of
it's,
course.
you know, doing webinars, and they're like, I don't have time for that, or I don't have time to do a webinar, and but they're noticing if they take the time, if they're more efficient during their day, use technology and market. Look, there's Greg Parent.
Oh, very, very funny. Hey, I'll sure tell these rappers, tell Dream and Two Chains that, you know, we need some
Hey
more
guys,
space.
scoot over, scoot over. Look out.
That's right. You know, aside from technology, there's always, hey, how you doing? I haven't talked to you in a long time. I mean, just pick up the phone and call folks. Stay in touch. Business is not going to materialize out of thin air. You can spend money. I mean, you and I were talking this morning about super lures and pay per clicks and, you know, Avo. You can look at all that stuff. But I sort of like to spread the wealth and sort of figure out, you know, a little
What
bit here, a
works
little
for
bit
you,
there.
yeah, and what works for you.
Yeah. And really that stuff is not my biggest draw. I think it's just, you know, sharing content. I mean, I like to help people learn, and it's something I've always felt good about. I help younger lawyers. I help the lawyers in our firm, outside of our firm, and sometimes it comes around and helps because people say, "I've got a really big case. Can I bring you in on it?" Great. And if not, then I've helped somebody. There's something about karma. So,
I
but you
believe.
can't just go to sleep and wake up and hope the business is going to come in, and you can't just pay Google or an SEO person to do SEO for you and hope that's going to do it.
You gotta
You got to do a little bit of everything.
So I mean, so you're seeing like after Memorial, people are starting to come out some. I've heard, you know, some places like Miles is opening June 1st. When do you kind of see things, you know, evolving or getting at least closer to normal?
Mm.
You know,
Yeah, I get, you know, a lot of my peers and colleagues call and say, when are you going to reopen? Because we want to know when should we reopen. And I'll give it away right now. We're never going to reopen because we never closed.
yeah,
You know, we really didn't close. We're going to tell our staff,
yeah,
don't don't come in if you don't feel like coming in and you're sick. Do come in if there's something you have to do in the office and you feel safe. But until we all feel comfortable, I'm not going to be the one who tells somebody you have to do this. We have good people. They're very efficient. They're doing a great job from home. There are two lawyers in my office right now on day 7 of a Zoom trial, and it's working. And they would rather be there. The client's there. They have a big table. There are 12 seats, and every fourth seat has a person in it,
Yeah.
and even a sneeze guard between them. But so we're not going to officially reopen. I think we are open, and we've always been open for business. It's just the new normal. It's going to be when people start coming in, we may not come in as much because now it's a little more crowded in our building. We'll use our remote building, our satellite office on West Waiuka a little bit more because it's just a second floor walk up instead of getting on elevators. For those people who don't want to get on elevators, we'll meet people virtually every day or in the lobby if we want. But it's an unknown. I'm not going to be that person that says May 1st. Oh, scratch that. June 1st. Nope,
Yeah.
scratch that. July 1st. It's going to be when it's going to be. And
No, but I think you nailed it. We never closed. We just never closed. We just adapted, and I think those are the ones that really, like I said, are going to come out exponentially further by just adapting and just not quitting, but going forward and saying, okay, well, this is the new normal. This is what we do now. It's like
it
when
is,
they
and
trade one of our favorite Hawks players. It's like, well, I guess this is what happens.
Yep. And I want to say this to lawyers that are watching, and I mean it. Justice Hunstein used to talk about doctors are good for healing the body and the religion is good for healing the soul, and we're good for healing society. I mean, lawyers, we are important. And a lot of people say, why are lawyers considered essential services? Why did they get excluded from the stay-at-home orders? Because without law, there's chaos. Without lawyers, there's chaos. And good lawyers know that. And a lot of people don't like lawyers until they need one. But, be that lawyer and be a leader, because we have no idea. And all of us who have been clients, and many of us have been clients, whether it's in a personal injury suit or whatever kind of lawsuit, when you're a client, you realize how important that hand-holding, that ability to tell somebody, here's my fear, am I going to get through it? Be the lawyer that says, you will get through it, and here's how it's going to work. And none of us know the outcome. We don't know how it's going to all end. But we do know that with a civilization and an advanced civilization like ours, lawyers are crucial for keeping us on track and moving forward.
I get the question a lot, why lawyers? Why do you only work with lawyers? And if you truly think about it, outside of teachers, after school, lawyers are the number one profession in terms of if you're going to do anything significant in your life or anything significant happens to you, chances are there's going to be a lawyer advising you. So, for those of you that are just naturally positive and happy, keep it up, like Randy says. But then also, I mean, for the ones who are hurting, depression and anxiety, just kind of reach out.
Look, clients generally don't care about our personal problems. I mean, they do when you get to know them in a while and you get to bond, but they're not paying you. We've got our own issues, but it's not a friendship. It's a business relationship. And also, I do think lawyers are important, and I do think teachers are important. But I know, of course, I think the medical professionals, and I know Alvaro, especially your whole family is medical professionals, and I know how much you respect that. So we don't mean to be saying that lawyers are great. We're important. People that save lives are important. The people that protect us are important. The first responders are important. But as far as businesses, we're the glue, and we got to keep that glue together, because when things go bad, they call us to say, make sure it doesn't get any worse or try to make it better. And I'm glad to be able to do that for some folks.
So I know people get sick of seeing us at Hawks games all the time, but they haven't seen us in a while. What's something you want to say to everybody that just you haven't seen?
Wow. I'm gonna say, ref, you missed that call. That was not a foul on John Collins. I mean, he didn't touch the guy. But really, you know what I'd say? I'd say, see the silver lining. I have a friend who calls himself Mr. Positive, and he sees the silver lining in everything. And this poor guy was a police officer during Katrina. His family had to relocate to Houston. Then there was another hurricane. They had to relocate to Charlotte. Everything, stay positive. There is a silver lining. Who knows what the good is in this? It's making us evolve. It's making us get closer to our families. It's making us do things that were outside of our comfort zone. It's making us care about one another more. I've been to China, and I remember seeing people wear masks in China and thinking, why are they wearing masks? And now I look at somebody and I say, why are they not wearing a mask? So we've all evolved to that point. Why did the Chinese bow instead of shaking hands? I don't think it was to stay away from Corona.
But maybe.
But you know what?
Yeah.
You have no idea how culturally people have evolved and done certain things. So we're all open-minded. But the main thing is, don't be stupid, right? Let's not be stupid. This thing is out there, and you can open up the whole world. But until there's a vaccine and until it's gone, it's still there. And I don't care if you social distance, if you wear a mask, that little slip, you know, your dog runs over to say hi to a friend and you go to pick the dog back up and then you stay there a foot away from the person. Just simple things that, you know, I see people make simple mistakes in family law all the time. And, you know, oh, it was just one night. Oh, it was just one kiss. Oh, it was just one gamble. It was just one, you know, bottle of alcohol. It's the one time thing that hurts us. So be safe, be strong, and we're going to be back. And I think 2021, the season's going to start late. I'm
Yep.
hoping there's a season, and I hope I'm sitting 3 seats away from you. Maybe
Yeah.
we'll go to every third game together.
Every third game. That'll work. That'll work. Well, cool, man. It was good catching up with you.
Yep.
For me, I would just, you know, it's good being in touch with everybody, you know, via technology, but, you know, can't wait to get back out there, you know, seeing you all and just doing what we do.
Yeah. And by the way, you'll never see me like this, even at a Hawks game. This is for Alvaro. He
Yeah.
made me do it, and he's a good sport. And I want to say this about Alvaro. You know, a lot of people see him and he looks like a little kid and he laughs like a little kid and he's excitable like a little kid. He's a smart MF. I mean, he really knows his stuff. And don't be deceived. And I remember, it's not the exact same saying, but it sort of, I'm going to make it apply. I'm going to twist it. But it's, you know, when people say, don't mistake my kindness for weakness. You know, if someone's kind, that doesn't mean they're weak. If someone's fun and energetic, it doesn't mean they're silly when they're doing their job. And Alvaro knows his stuff and does his stuff right. And it's good that he's got that balance. So I just wanted to share that with you and
Appreciate
let you know.
it. All right. See you guys. We'll catch up with you soon.
All righty. Thanks for having me.